Once upon a time, in a quiet town where the roads were smooth and the houses sat close together like friendly neighbors, there was a blue house at the end of a street where people waved when they walked by. The blue house was not the biggest house and not the smallest house, but it was a warm house, a listening house, and a house where people believed that kindness was very important. Inside the blue house lived a dad who drove a very big truck on very long roads and liked to think before he spoke, a mom who helped children learn every day and believed that words could help or hurt, and a daughter who was growing up and learning how to be brave, smart, and kind all at the same time. The blue house had a kitchen that smelled like good food, a table where people talked and laughed, and a doorbell that rang when visitors came, which made the house feel alive. One winter day, when the air was cold and the sky was soft and gray, the family was getting ready for a special dinner, because the daughter had invited someone important to come and eat with them before the holidays. The mom stirred pots and hummed a quiet song. The dad placed plates carefully on the table, and the daughter helped by folding napkins and smiling, because she was excited and nervous, and that is how people often feel when they care about something. The mom said this dinner mattered because sharing food was a way of sharing love, and the dad said it mattered because when someone comes into your home, they should feel safe and respected. The daughter nodded, because she wanted everyone to feel happy. When the doorbell finally rang, making a soft ding sound, the dad walked to the door and opened it slowly, and standing there was the visitor, a young boy who was not mean but sometimes did not think things through. He stepped inside the blue house, looked around, and smiled, and then he took off his jacket. Under the jacket was a shirt, and on the shirt were words that were not kind words, not family words, and not words that belonged in a warm house like this one. The dad noticed right away, but he did not shout, and he did not get angry, because the dad believed that yelling closed ears while calm words opened them. The dad took a quiet breath and remembered all the times he had made mistakes when he was young, and how the lessons that stayed with him were the ones taught with patience. The dad gently asked the visitor to stand with him near the door, away from everyone else, and he spoke softly so no one would feel embarrassed in front of others. He explained that in their home, they chose words that made people feel safe, and that sometimes people wore things without thinking about how others might feel. The dad reached into his pocket and gave the visitor money, explaining that there was a big store nearby where he could choose a different shirt, one with no words or kind words, and then come back to share dinner together. The visitor felt his face get warm and his heart beat a little faster, because being corrected is not easy, but he also noticed that the dad's eyes were calm and kind, not angry or sharp. As the visitor walked toward the big store, his shoes made soft sounds on the sidewalk, and the cold air helped him think. He thought about jokes, about words, and about how something funny to one person could feel uncomfortable to another, and thinking made him understand a little more. Inside the big store, bright lights shone on many shirts, some loud, some quiet, some with pictures, and some plain, and after looking for a while, the visitor chose a simple shirt that felt respectful. When he put it on, he felt lighter, like a small worry had left his chest. When he returned to the blue house, the dad opened the door with the same calm smile as before, and the visitor felt welcome again. Dinner was warm and gentle, with people talking about school, food, and small happy things, and no one brought up the mistake, because sometimes learning happens best when it is quiet. After dinner, when the house was calm and the dishes were put away, the daughter talked with her parents and learned something important too, which was that caring about someone does not mean forgetting your own value, and that respect should always go both ways. And in the blue house, everyone went to bed knowing that mistakes can turn into lessons when people choose kindness, patience, and care. After that special dinner night, the blue house felt extra calm, like it does after something important has happened and everyone has had time to think. The dad went back to his truck driving on long roads. The mom went back to helping children learn, and the daughter went back to her books and her plans for the future. But inside all of them, a small lesson had settled gently, like a feather landing softly. The visitor went home too, wearing his new shirt, and as he walked, he kept thinking about what had happened, not in a scared way, but in a thoughtful way, because sometimes the biggest lessons come when someone shows you respect instead of anger. At home, the visitor sat quietly for a while and thought about how the dad had spoken to him, how no one had laughed at him, and how he had been welcomed back like nothing bad had happened at all. That made him feel something new, a feeling that mistakes did not have to mean rejection, and that people could correct you while still caring about you. The next day, the daughter sat at the kitchen table in the blue house, sipping a warm drink and thinking carefully, because she had felt something important too. She remembered how fast she had wanted to protect the visitor when she thought he was embarrassed, and she realized that loving someone did not mean ignoring what felt wrong. She remembered the way her parents treated each other, always with calm voices and respect, even when they did not agree, and she understood that this was the kind of respect she deserved too. When the visitor called her later that day, his voice sounded a little different, softer and more careful, and he told her he had been thinking a lot. He told her that he should have thought about how his choices might make others feel, and that he was glad her dad had spoken to him quietly instead of making fun of him. The daughter listened carefully, because listening is also a way of being kind, and when she spoke slowly and clearly, explaining that she liked him, but that she needed to feel respected, always, not just sometimes. The visitor understood, and understanding made him want to do better. Over the next few days, small things began to change, the way the visitor chose his words, the way he thought before acting, and the way he paid attention to how others felt. And even though these changes were quiet, they were important. Back in the blue house, the mom noticed the daughter stand more confidently, and the dad noticed it too, and they both felt proud, not because everything was perfect, but because learning was happening. One evening, the dad sat at the table thinking about when he was young and how many mistakes he had made before learning the same lessons, and he smiled, because he knew that growth takes time and patience. The visitor was invited back to the blue house again, and this time, when he rang the doorbell, he wore a simple shirt and brought a small smile full of respect. The dinner was warm again, with easy laughter and gentle talk, and the house felt safe, because everyone knew what was expected and why it mattered. After dinner, the visitor helped clear the table without being asked, because he wanted to show that he cared, and the dad noticed, but did not say anything, because sometimes the best praise is quiet. Later that night, the daughter and her parents talked again, and the daughter said something important, that she had learned she should never forget her own worth, even when she cared deeply about someone else. The mom nodded and held her hand, and the dad felt proud in a calm, steady way, because this was the lesson he hoped would stay with her forever. And so life in the blue house continued, not loudly, not perfectly, but kindly, with everyone learning that respect is not something you ask for loudly, but something you show every day through small choices, gentle words, and thoughtful actions, and that even a simple mistake, like wearing the wrong shirt, can become the start of growing into a better, kinder person when people choose patience over anger and understanding over shame. After visiting the blue house again, the visitor walked home feeling different than he had before, because now his thoughts felt fuller, like a backpack with new things inside. When he reached his own home, a place with busy sounds and familiar smells, he sat down at the table with his family and began to talk, which was not always easy for him, but this time he knew it was important. He told them about the dinner, about the shirt, and about how the dad had spoken to him calmly instead of getting angry, and as he spoke, he noticed his own words slowing down, because telling the truth carefully matters. His parents listened closely, and when he finished, they did not shout or laugh, but nodded thoughtfully, because they understood that growing up means learning. How daughter felt stronger too, knowing that her voice mattered and that respect was something she deserved without having to ask for it. And in the blue house, the lessons that began with a simple mistake grew into something lasting, something gentle and steady, showing that patience, kindness, and clear boundaries can help everyone become better, one small step at a time. As the days kept moving forward, the lessons learned in the blue house began to show themselves in many quiet ways, the kind of ways that do not make loud noises but still matter very much. The visitor started noticing how his choices affected people not just in big moments, but in small ones too, like how he spoke to store workers, how he listened when someone else was talking, and how he stopped himself before making a joke that might not feel good to everyone. Each small pause felt important, like stopping to look both ways before crossing the street, and each pause helped him feel more grown up inside. The daughter noticed these changes and felt calmer and happier, because when respect is present, trust grows naturally. She found herself smiling more easily and speaking more freely, knowing that her thoughts and feelings mattered. One afternoon, while sitting at the kitchen table in the blue house, the daughter talked with her mom about future dreams, about learning, and about becoming someone who could stand firm and kind at the same time. And the mom reminded her that being gentle does not mean being weak, and being strong does not mean being unkind. The dad listened from nearby, feeling proud in a quiet way, because these were the lessons he hoped would stay with his child long after she left the blue house to build her own life. The visitor came over again one evening, bringing a simple thank you note, written carefully and honestly, because he wanted to show that he understood how much the calm guidance had meant to him. The dad read the note slowly and nodded, and the mom smiled, because gratitude is another way people show respect. That night, dinner felt especially warm, filled with easy conversation and gentle laughter, and the visitor helped without being asked, moving plates, wiping the table, and paying attention to what needed to be done. These small actions spoke louder than words. Later, as the evening grew quiet, the dad shared a story from his own youth about a mistake he once made and how someone had corrected him with patience instead of anger, and how that lesson stayed with him forever. The visitor listened closely, understanding that mistakes are part of learning and that how someone responds to a mistake can shape a person for years to come. The daughter listened too, feeling even more sure that the values taught in the blue house were ones she wanted to carry forward. As time passed, the visitor began to teach these lessons to others in simple ways, choosing kindness, stepping back when needed, and showing that learning never truly ends. The blue house continued to be a place of calm voices, clear boundaries, and steady love, and the simple moment that started with a mistake grew into a lasting lesson about respect, responsibility, and growing into the best version of yourself, one thoughtful choice at a time. As the seasons continued to change, the blue house remained a steady place where lessons gently grew, even when no one noticed them right away. The dad kept driving his big truck across long roads, watching sunrises and sunsets, and thinking about how small choices can lead to big changes. The mom kept helping children learn, reminding them that kindness starts with listening, and the daughter kept learning about herself, about the world, and about how important it was to speak up calmly when something mattered to her. The visitor became more comfortable in the blue house, not because rules disappeared, but because he understood them, and understanding made everything feel easier. One day, the visitor noticed a younger child nearby wearing something silly and acting in a way that made others uncomfortable, and instead of laughing or teasing, the visitor chose to speak kindly and explain gently, just like the dad had done with him. That moment made him realize how lessons travel from one person to another, growing quietly as they go. The daughter saw this too and felt proud, because she could see that learning had turned into kindness that reached beyond the blue house. One afternoon, the family sat together talking about how everyone makes mistakes, but not everyone learns from them, and the dad explained that learning takes courage, because it means admitting you can do better. The mom added that courage and kindness often walk hand in hand, and the daughter nodded, understanding that being brave does not always mean being loud. The visitor continued to show his growth in small ways, by being patient, by thinking ahead, and by choosing respect even when no one was watching. These choices made his world feel calmer and more peaceful. Back in the blue house, laughter came easily, conversations felt safe, and everyone knew that respect was not something that happened once, but something that had to be chosen every day. The daughter felt stronger than ever, knowing her voice mattered and that kindness did not mean accepting behavior that felt wrong. As another dinner came and went, filled with warm food and gentle talk, the dad looked around the table and felt thankful, because what began as a small moment had grown into a lasting lesson for everyone.